everybody hear me? Yes? Proactive listening, wonderful. Anybody who can't or anybody who needs headphones, there are trilingual headphones at the back, so if anybody needs them, please do ask. Firstly, I'd like to thank everyone for being here. My name is Anthony Downey. I'm the editor of Ibraaz, and we are going to have quite a broad-ranging discussion this morning, and I'd just like to pick up on what Mr. Lazar was saying. This conference is the third iteration of JAO. It's the second iteration of JAO, but it's the third iteration of this particular conference. And it was organized in advance of the recent attacks on March 18th. And one thing we decided when this happened, a number of people came to us. I was in Dubai when these attacks happened. In fact, I was with Sultan. And many people said, will you cancel this now? And we decided there and then not to cancel, but to redouble our efforts to bring people to Tunis. As a show of support, but I also need to very briefly add, this is not about looking to the past, and I don't think this conference should be about the past. I think this conference should be about looking to the future, and what the future holds in terms of visual culture, what we can do with visual culture. In that spirit, over the next 2 days, there will be 6 roundtable discussions. There will be 2 condition reports on the Maghreb, looking at institutions and the role of performance. There will be a roundtable on archiving artistic practices across the Maghreb and the Middle East. There will be a roundtable on the future of institutions across the Middle East. And there will also be a series of performances. Hiwa K, is Hiwa here? Hiwa here yet? Hiwa K will be performing at 11:30, I think. Slavs and Tartars will be doing a performance. We will also have a series of discussions tomorrow morning around the thinkers and doers. This will be an intermediate session looking at entrepreneurialism in the context of visual culture, which again I think we should focus on. So we have 2 very packed days. In the spirit of that, we're going to try stick to time. So Nur has a little sign saying 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and you're off. Yeah? So we're going to try stick to that. Effectively, we have a number of speakers here today, each of whom prepared 5 to 10 minute discussion around a number of questions. And I just want to tell you what those questions are. We want to ask a very simple question. What is the role of visual culture in an age of global conflict? And I want to be more specific about that. This is not a regional question. It has regional pertinence, but it's not just about the region. This is an international question. What are the challenges that culture faces today? How can we utilize culture to open up debate that is often closed down for different reasons, censorship, politics, economics? And equally, what do we expect of culture in an age of global conflict? Should we be looking to culture to address these issues? Or should culture be considered separate from these issues? So these are the key points that we want to address. And I just want to also give further context to that. Culture increasingly seems to be under not just a challenge, but attack. And I talk not just about the way in which culture is physically, literally attacked, as we had here in March, but also the sense that culture is being seen as a battleground. And I think increasingly across the Middle East, visual culture seems to open up debates about public space, the role of the subject, citizenship, and civil society. To my mind, these are some of the key debates that we're having, again, not just in the region, but across the globe today. So, in that spirit, I want to very briefly introduce the panelists who will each speak for 5 to 10 minutes on the subject of global culture in an age of conflict. To my far right, we have Ghazi Ghazeri, who is a jurist and academic based here in Tunis. All of their biographies, by the way, you have full biographies in the speaker's pack, so if you want to read more, they are all there. To my second right is Alexandra Kazarouni, who is at Sciences Po in Paris. He specializes in Middle East studies. In the middle, we have Sheikh Sultan Al-Qasimi, who is the founder and president of the Bardo Foundation in Sharjah. He's also a main exponent of social media and how we utilize social media in the context of visual culture. To my immediate right is Mohammed Aziza, who probably needs no introduction to this audience. However, you will know him as a poet and writer and academic. So, each of the panelists, in their own way, will address this issue. I will ask some questions, but I'd equally like to point out that Lena Lazar, to my far left, is a respondent, and I like that you're hiding behind about 4 people. Thank you. Lena is a respondent. She tried to wiggle out of it, but she's back in. And Lena will also be asking questions. I will be chairing, but I think one of the key things here today, time permitting, is not just for us to talk to you. That, of course, is interesting, I hope. But what would be more interesting, and I'm sure I speak for all the panelists, is to hear what you have to say on this subject. And I hope the next 2 days are about dialogue and discussion, not just about you listening to us. This should be about us collaborating in this discussion. And I feel personally that the collaborative aspect of this is the way forward, and perhaps is the future of visual culture in the region. So, may I start with Alexander, please?